Hi, welcome back, and I thought, given that we've got Project Cars 3 coming out next week, and not being privy to getting advanced codes for this, I can't flash stuff up and live stream it in advance. I thought what I'd do instead is actually revisit the title that this is supposed to be the spiritual successor for. You know, I've played enough Project Cars and Project Cars 2. There's plenty of videos of my thoughts on that on the channel, but what if I was to revisit Need for Speed Shift 2 and take a look at that? So that's exactly what I did. I went back and had a look at Need for Speed... try saying that again. Need for Speed Shift 2 to see really what that was like. Now, I have played a little bit of the original Shift over the last few months as well. And the main difference is, I found between those two, and one of the concerns people had was around the ridiculous rewards you got for dirty driving in the original Shift. One thing that was nice to see, and I'd forgotten, is that in Shift 2, that's toned down quite dramatically, and it does tend to reward you more for the more careful approach to driving. Now, in terms of looks, it's not on Gran Turismo kind of level when we're talking about a title for the PS3. It doesn't look as good, but it's arguably got more of a gritty atmosphere to it, and it's got less of the carnival funfair approach to some of the trackside detail as well that the original Shift had. So it's a bit more, for want of a better word, mature in that regard, which was good. It's also interesting to see the car list because unlike the Project Cars series, the Shift ones, particularly Shift 2, is dominated with road cars, the massively outweighing the number of already race prepped cars. So that's an interesting shift, and it's one of the concerns people have raised with the upcoming Project Cars 3 is, are there enough road cars in there for you to successfully modify? So we'll wait and see if that affects it or not, but certainly in Shift 2, good amount of road cars for you to modify and play around with, which is good to see because it's what you need in a title of this nature. Physics-wise, it's pretty much as I remember it. It's certainly not a sim by any stretch of the imagination in comparison to modern titles, but for its day, it was actually reasonably good. I tried it both with a wheel and also with a gamepad. The main things that I do remember that came back fairly quickly is front-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive cars are pretty much okay in it, but it had this very, very weird and twitchy handling with mid-engined cars and anything that was rear-engine, rear-wheel drive. They're just quite tricky to control in that regard. They're okay once you get used to them, but initially they're a bit kind of like, no, not too happy with that, which doesn't help. The livery editor was more detailed than I remember, I must confess. It really was. There's a lot of options in there, and it was quite Forza-like for its day, and it looks like the one for Project Cars 3 is actually going to be more simplistic than that. I'm hoping that the vehicle upgrade system, however, is on a par with what we had, or what was found within Shift 2, because revisiting that was quite pleasantly surprised about the amount of options that were in there, including the ability to not only weight reduce but strip out the interior as part of the move towards the full works conversion that turned it into a race prepped vehicle. So there's a lot of good stuff around that in there. Overall, I must confess, I enjoyed it more than I thought I would going back. Going back to retro titles is not always a good experience. Probably the most pleasant thing I have to say that I did find was absent. I know it's weird being pleased about something that's absent, but was the lack of rubber banding in the actual AI. The AI was a little bit aggressive. It was toned down in aggression between the original Shift and Shift 2. That much is clear to see. but yeah, the lack of rubber banding in the AI was good to see. So it'll be interesting when I do get a chance to get hands-on with Project Cars 3 next week as to whether it is truly a spiritual successor to what we're looking at here, Shift 2, or whether it's a spiritual successor to Project Cars 2, or whether it falls some way, as I suspect it will, between the two of them. But here we go, a little bit of a blast from the past, a quick refresh and a look at Shift 2. So if you've enjoyed this, please do hit the like button. If you want to see more content like this, please do subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when new content goes online. Thanks very much. Take care.